Welcome to Lesson 2. You are going to be proving your answers with me with the Maze Runner passage. Last week you marked the text with me and I asked you to not answer the questions until you had Lesson 2. So last week you read the 10 paragraphs, you gave the gist, you wrote the gist with me out on the margins, and then we took some notes. We marked the text. That was Lesson 1. So now let's begin Lesson 2. You're going to have a brand new Maze Runner reading passage. You should just have one color highlighter, so select your favorite, and a pencil. And you can pause the video, go at your own pace, but make sure that what I do, you do. Thank you. And this is going to go in the turn-in bin so I can check it off, put it in a grade book, and I need to make sure that you have done Lesson 2. So please make sure what I do, you do. So on your paper, I want you to write Lesson 2, proving your answers. Then we're going to read the passage one more time, and then we're going to look at our questions. We're going to simplify them, and then prove our answers and find the evidence in the passage, in the text. Remember, proving your answers is a must because every answer and every question can be proven. And I want to give you that confidence of knowing that your answer was the best one because you found proof in the text. And that's called peeing on your test. So let's begin. Right now, just put your pencil down. We are just going to reread it. Good readers read a passage more than once. He began his new life standing up, surrounded by cold darkness and stale, dusty air. Metal ground against metal. A lurching shudder shook the floor beneath him. He fell down at the sudden movement and shuffled backward on his hands and feet, drops of sweat beating on his forehead despite the cool air. His back struck a hard metal wall. He slid along it until he hit the corner of the room. Sinking to the floor, he pulled his legs up tight against his body, hoping his eyes would soon adjust to the darkness. With another jolt, the room jerked upward like an old lift in a mine shaft. Harsh sounds of chains and pulleys, like the workings of an ancient steel factory, echoed through the room, bouncing off the walls with a hollow, tiny whine. The lightless elevator swayed back and forth as it ascended, turning the boy's stomach sour with nausea. A smell like burnt oil invaded his senses, making him feel worse. He wanted to cry, but no tears came. He could only sit there, alone, waiting. My name is Thomas, he thought. That was the only thing he could remember about his life. He did not understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw, trying to calculate his surroundings and predicament. Knowledge flooded his thoughts, facts and images, memories, and details of the world and how it works. He pictured snow on trees, running down a leaf-strewn road, eating a hamburger, the moon casting a pale glow on a grassy meadow, swimming in a lake, a busy city square with hundreds of people bustling about their business. And yet, he didn't know where he came from, or how he'd gotten inside the dark lift, or who his parents were. He didn't even know his last name. Images of people flashed across his mind, but there was no recognition. Their faces replaced with haunted smears of color. He could not think of one person he knew or recall a single conversation. The room continued its ascent, swaying. Thomas grew immune to the ceaseless rattling of the chains that pulled him upward. A long time passed. Minutes stretched into hours, although it was impossible to know for sure because every second seemed an eternity. No, he was smarter than that. Trusting his instincts, he knew he had been moving for roughly half an hour. Strangely enough, he felt his fear whisked away like a swarm of gnats caught in the wind, replaced by an intense curiosity. He wanted to know where he was and what was happening. With a groan and then a clunk, the rising room halted. The sudden change jolted Thomas from his huddled position and threw him across the hard floor. As he scrambled to his feet, he felt the room sway less and less until it finally stilled. Everything fell silent. So now, I would love for you to pick up your pencil. We're going to look at question 1. We're going to prove our answers, but first, what I like to do, a good strategy. Remember, I've done this before in the past. This has helped me out when I was younger. And what I do, you do. Read the following sentences from the story. So we're going to look at this box. This is a part of the passage. My name is Thomas, he thought. So what does the word thought mean? Remember, good readers ask themselves these questions as they read questions. So what I like to do is I'm going to circle it, and then I'm going to draw a little thought bubble. These are usually found in graphic novels, and I want you to draw. Remember, anytime that you have a word, you should always make a little illustration out to the side so that when you look at it, you have a connection of what this word means. That was the only thing he could remember about his life. So get your highlighter. The author decided to use the word that and then have 3 dots, then have the word repeated once again to show something. So you have to ask yourself, in this moment, I have to connect with Thomas. He's thinking, he cannot remember much, and he is repeating words. Now, when I repeat words, I sometimes stutter. So I'm making a connection with Thomas. So out to the side, we're going to write the word stutter. Right now, we're breaking down the question so you know exactly what you have to do. Sometimes there's a lot of words and we have to break it down. So that's showing that Thomas is stuttering. That was the only thing he could remember. So once again, the word remember is a synonym to the word thought. We're going to draw our little thought bubble. The only thing, we're going to box it in, that means one. He can only remember one thing, and that's his name. Now, the question is asking us, why does the author include this part of the story? Now, the word include, you are able to use a thesaurus and a dictionary whenever you have a passage, whenever you have to answer questions. So I looked up the word, and we can find a simpler word. I know that we've been working on using stronger words, but when we have questions, I want you to find the simple term. And instead of include, I want you to write put. So why does the author put this part of the story? And on this one, you don't have to go back to the text because they only want you to analyze, they only want you to think about the words, these 2 sentences. So why does the author put this part of the story? Why would he show the character of Thomas stuttering while he's thinking, and the only thing he can think about is his name? To show that Thomas is alone? To explain why Thomas ended up in the elevator? To convey why Thomas is eager to find his family? Whoa, that word right there, convey. They are using this word to throw you off. We're going to cross it out. If I looked up the word, I could find another synonym, and I could simplify it with the word show. So write show. So now it reads, to show why Thomas is eager to find his family, or to explain why Thomas is so confused. Now, they're wanting you on this question to make a prediction based on these 2 sentences. That is it, not the entire text. So let's eliminate. Based on this, my name is Thomas, he thought. That, he's stuttering, was the only, number one thing he could remember about his life. Let's make a prediction. And this is our evidence already. To show that Thomas is alone, that could be a good one, so we're going to put a question mark next to it. To explain why Thomas ended up in the elevator based on just these two sentences. Does this prove that Thomas ended up in the elevator? No, you cannot. So you are going to cross that out. What I do, you do. You should have this on question 1. C, to show why Thomas is eager to find his family, did it mention anything about him being eager, meaning excited, to find his family? Can we make a prediction based on these two sentences? Sadly, we cannot make a good prediction. So it's not going to be C. Now D, to explain why Thomas is so confused. Let's go back and look at the evidence. Or 2 sentences in the box. My name is Thomas, he thought. That was the only thing he could remember about his life. Put yourself in his shoes. If that's the only thing you could remember, would this explain why he's alone or why he's confused? Why does the author put this part in the story? The best one, by number A, is going to be D, to explain why Thomas is so confused. So please make sure that you have D circled. And on this one, we don't have to go back in the text to prove it. We can just prove it here. Question 1, our proof is these 2 sentences. So whenever you prove your answers, you always put question 1 next to the sentence in the text that proves it. Now let's go to number 2. The description of the elevator. Let's simplify this. The word description just means the details, the sentences the author used in paragraph 4. So let's read it again. The details of the elevator in paragraph 4 helps the reader understand, cross that out, helps you are the reader. So the details of the elevator in paragraph 4 helps you understand what? A, the fear Thomas is experiencing. B, how the elevator looks. C, the recognition Thomas is feeling. Or D, the uncertainty of the situation. Now, we've been learning all about prefixes. We know the prefix un means not. So the word uncertainty means not certain. So he's not certain of the situation. Now in this one, we do have to go back in the text and go directly to paragraph 4. And we're going to find the sentence that proves that it's either A, B, C, or D. So have this written down. And let's go to paragraph 4. Now in paragraph 4, we have all of these details. Harsh sounds of chains and pulleys, like the workings of an ancient steel factory, echoed through the room, bouncing off the walls with a hollow, tiny whine. The lightless elevator swayed back and forth as it ascended, turning the boy's stomach sour with nausea. A smell like burnt oil invaded his senses, making him feel worse. He wanted to cry, but no tears came. He could only sit there alone, waiting. Now, based on these details, your question was asking you, the details of the elevator in paragraph 4 helps you understand what? Is it A, the fear Thomas is experiencing? B, how the elevator looks? C, the recognition Thomas is feeling? Or D, not certain of the situation? So I would get my highlighter and I'm going to find my proof. I'm going to highlight this. Harsh sounds of chains and pulleys, like the workings of an ancient steel factory, echoed through the room, bouncing off the walls with a hollow, tiny whine. And then we're also going to highlight turning the boy's stomach sour with nausea. He wanted to cry, but no tears came. Alone and waiting. These are our clues. He's alone. He is waiting. He wants to cry. His stomach is turning with nausea. Nausea means he's dizzy. There's harsh sounds of chains and pulleys all around him. It's echoing. The sound is bouncing off the walls. So all these sounds, he's alone, he's waiting, he wants to cry, his stomach's turning. All of these are going to be our proof for question 2. So what you would do out to the side when you prove your answers is you would put question 2. That lets you know that for question 2, these sentences that you highlighted are the proof. They prove your answer. Now we have to go back after you highlight this and select our best answer choice because we already have our proof, and I think you know which one it is. Based on those clues, is it the fear Thomas is experiencing if he's alone, if he's waiting, he wants to cry, his stomach is turning sour, all these sounds are happening? I would feel frightened if I was Thomas, and we have our proof for that, so that could be it. So put a question mark because we have to look at B, C, and D. All those details, does it show how the elevator looks? If it's describing how Thomas is feeling, how he wants to cry, how he's alone, no, it's not how the elevator looks. That's not why paragraph 4 has those details explaining how Thomas is feeling. C, the recognition Thomas is feeling. The word recognition just means to show how Thomas is feeling, or is it D, the uncertainty of the situation? What would be the strongest answer out of A, C, and D? The uncertainty of the situation is kind of vague. It's kind of not very specific, so cross it out. Is it A, the fear Thomas is experiencing, or to show how Thomas is feeling? This one's very generic. It's saying how he's feeling, but A is literally giving you the emotion, what he's feeling, and he's experiencing fear. So it's going to be A. And we already have, so have this written down, we already have our proof in paragraph 4, Q2. We've proved it. We know that we have our evidence, so it must be right. It's a good feeling knowing that you found the correct evidence. So now let's look at number 3. In paragraph 6, the word predicament, which is of Latin origin, means A, to contain many elements, B, a difficult situation, C, an unplanned decision. Oh, once again, we have our prefix un means not, so not planned decision, and C, having possession. We're going to break that down, meaning having ownership, something that you own. So whenever you have a context clue question, whenever the vocab word is underlined and it's asking what is the meaning of that word, in the context just means how it's used in that paragraph, because words have many meanings. You have to find the perfect one for that sentence in that paragraph. So what you have to do, the strategy, is plug in A, B, C, and D. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip back to paragraph 6, and out on the side, we're going to cross out the word that you do not know. That's the first step that you do when you have a context clue question. Then out to the side, you're going to write down all your answer choices. So you have A, and I want you to write them down. Contain, so try to write small, contain many elements. That's answer choice A. Then you draw a line so you don't get confused. Answer choice B is a difficult situation, so we'll just put difficult situation, and I abbreviate it difficult. Draw a line. Answer choice C is unplanned decision. So you're going to write not planned decision, because you know the prefix un means not. Draw a line. And D is having ownership, because we simplified possession to ownership. So now what you do, you literally read the sentence by plugging in each definition. And then it has to fit the context of what is going on in that paragraph. So this is a strategy. He didn't understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw. trying to calculate his surroundings. And so instead of reading it with this word, you use one of these. Trying to calculate his surroundings and contain many elements. Okay, let's look at the next one. He didn't understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw, trying to calculate his surroundings. And a difficult situation. Ooh, maybe. So in this one, I'm going to write out difficult, so you can actually see it. So please do this with me. So we're going to highlight our clue words. I have surroundings, things around him. He didn't understand how this could be possible, and he's trying to calculate. So highlight that with me. Is it not planned decision? He didn't understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw. Trying to calculate his surroundings and not planned decision? No, that does not fit the context, so cross it out. He didn't understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw. Trying to calculate his surroundings and having ownership? We don't have any clues or context that shows that the word predicament should mean having ownership, so cross it out. It's either contain many elements or difficult situation. So then you have it narrowed down to 2. So let's see which one's the best definition for the context. For this sentence, he didn't understand how this could be possible. His mind functioned without flaw, trying to calculate his surroundings and contain many elements or difficult situation. So for this one, we're going to cross out A, C, and D, and it's going to be B. His surroundings and difficult situation. We know it's a difficult situation because he's trying to calculate. The word calculate means think, so please write this down. His surroundings is where he's at, and he didn't understand. If it's a difficult situation, you're not understanding, you're thinking about where you're at. So it's going to be difficult situation B. So make sure to have all this written down, what I do, you do. And you can pause at any time to catch up. So we go back, and we know that in paragraph 6, the word predicament, which is of Latin origin, means B, a difficult situation. And origin, I want you to write, that just means where the word came from. So we proved it. So we would do this. Q3. We proved question 3. Let's go to number 4. The change in emotion in Thomas feels in paragraph 9 is most closely associated with which of the following? Now the word associated means related, connected, so please write that down, with which of the following? So basically this question is asking you, why did Thomas's emotions change? The change in emotion Thomas feels in paragraph 9 is most closely connected with which of the following? That's too complicated, so we need to simplify it. Why did Thomas's emotions change? That's literally what they're asking you, so please write that down. We don't need all of this. In paragraph 9, unsure to curiosity, fearful to hopeful, scared to interested, apprehensive to sure. So it's asking you, why did Thomas's emotions change? So we need to find how he was feeling in the beginning and at the end of paragraph 9. So let's go back and look. I have this written down. Strangely enough, he felt his fear whisked away like a swarm of gnats caught in the wind, replaced by an intense curiosity. He wanted to know where he was and what was happening. So I want you to get your highlighter. We need to find our proof. The word strangely is a clue of how he's feeling at the beginning. He felt his fear. The word fear means he's scared, so please write that down. He's feeling something. Then his fear was whisked away like a swarm of gnats caught in the wind. That means his fear was replaced. It's gone by an intense curiosity. Ooh, curiosity. He's curious. And then now, because he's curious, he wants to know where he was. So the whole point of this sentence right here is to show that he's intrigued. He's curious. So please write this down. So at first he was scared. Then he was curious. He wanted to know. And another way of saying that is intrigued. So this is going to be our proof for question 4. Please have this written down. We proved it. We found our evidence. So now, is it unsure to curiosity? Remember, he was feeling scared at the beginning, so it can't be unsure. Remember, first and second. The first emotion was unsure. Nope. Fearful to hopeful? Maybe. Scared to interested, or apprehensive to sure? Sorry. We know that he was feeling scared. Then he was very curious. So which one's our best answer? Fearful to hopeful or scared to interested? Interested is a synonym to curious and intrigued. It's going to have to be C. So please cross out A, B, and D, and it's C. Scared to interested. And we have our proof. We know that he was scared, then he was curious and intrigued. He wanted to know. Good job. So now let's look at number 5. We're looking at this sentence from the story. On this one, you don't have to go back to the passage. Just look at the sentence in the box. Like the workings of an ancient steel factory. Now, this is a simile. We know that in this sentence, it says the author uses figurative language. We're going to cross that out, and this is a simile. So the author uses a simile in the sentence to do what? Remember, similes compare two things using the keywords like or as. Is it A, help the reader imagine what Thomas is going through? B, emphasize the seriousness of Thomas's situation. They're throwing a big word at you. The word emphasize just means to show, so please write this with me. C, establish the importance of Thomas's safety. Once again, the word establish just means show. Throwing big words at you, but you're smart enough to not let that throw you off. D, exaggerate the danger Thomas is in. So let's look. They're comparing. Remember, the simile, like the workings of an ancient steel factory. The rest of this simile was harsh sounds of chains and pulleys, like the workings of an ancient steel factory, help the reader imagine what Thomas is going through, show the seriousness of Thomas's situation, show the importance of Thomas's safety, or exaggerate the danger Thomas is in. If it's just describing the harsh sounds of the pulleys and where he's at, it's not showing the danger, so cross out D. It's not showing the importance of Thomas's safety, so cross out C. It's either show the seriousness of Thomas's situation or help the reader imagine what Thomas is going through. And we have the proof. Harsh sounds, it's giving us a description of what he's listening, what he's hearing, and comparing it to an ancient steel factory. So it's going to have to be A, help the reader imagine what Thomas is going through. And we have our proof right here. Question 5. And if you want to prove it even more, you go back to paragraph 4, and we already have that sentence highlighted, and it's Q5. That's also the proof for question 5. Harsh sounds of chains and pulleys, like the workings of an ancient steel factory, echoed through the room. So make sure to have this written down. You can always pause What I have, you should have on yours. What I do, you do. Look at number 6. We have